admins removed to notorious fruits and even popular glitches. Today, we're going to be going over every popular thing that has been removed from Blox fruits, starting with the most recent stuff removed from the Dragon update. And of course, for the first thing, we have to start with the Colored Specialist. For years in Blox fruits, there has been an NPC named Colored Specialist. And because of his outfit, you guys can easily tell that this is the YouTuber official newbie. This NPC used to be below the cafe in 2nd C, right next to the title specialist, but now he's been removed. And to be honest, I don't even know why he was removed. I don't think we ever really got an explanation. Other than that, it just made sense. See, the Colored Specialist NPC existed for one reason: changing the color of your hockey. See, right now I have pink, but if I were to talk to the NPC, I'd be able to change it to something like red, blue, white, or even black. But having an NPC that you needed to go to made it really inefficient. So he was removed, and it was replaced with the Aura Skins tab in your inventory. Now you no longer need to even go to an NPC. You can always switch your colors right on the fly, no matter where you are in the game. But for all of us OG players of the game, we'll never forget the Colored Specialist that we knew and loved, even though the new way's way more efficient. And while we're on the topic of colors, the next thing that was removed in the Dragon update was color hoops. So just like we have the Aura Skin tab, there's also a tab you guys can see for Dragon East and Dragon West skins. Basically, whenever you switch over to one of the Dragon fruits, you can easily switch the color right from your inventory. But what if I told you it didn't used to be like this at all? Back in the day, there used to be this thing called color hoops in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd C of Blox fruits. And basically with the old Dragon, the more mastery you have, the more colors you would unlock. You can see by this footage, which is actually credit to GamerNow, this is his footage, there was different colored hoops, and depending on your mastery, you could go through the hoops and change the color to whichever one you go through. You can see he changed his to bright violet. This, however, with the new Dragon update, was obviously removed from the game, as just like the Color Specialist, it made no sense to have that when we could just access the colors to change from our inventory. That said, boys, me personally, I still miss seeing the flying colored hoops outside of the maps, man. Comment down below if y'all agree. But moving on, we can't talk about stuff that's been removed without talking about the Dragon fruit. And I know what you're thinking.
Winner, the Dragon fruit wasn't removed, it was just revamped.
Well, yeah, that is true, but technically the old version is completely gone from the game. We know the new version we have right now. We got Dragon East and Dragon West. We got all these nice abilities, even color changing abilities like the chromatic eclipse, but this is just not how the Dragon used to look at all. Yes, I'm talking about the Dragon we knew and loved from 5 years ago. That's been in the game for forever. All these cool little abilities, not so long ago, it did not look like this. Not so long ago, this was the Dragon we were dealing with, boys. And I'm not gonna lie, the abilities don't look much different, but since this is what I had my entire Blox fruits career, it just feels so crazy, like looking back in the past and seeing this is how we used to play. This was the Dragon we used to use. Like, look at this transformation, bro. I'm not gonna lie, looking back, this looks so scuffed. I'm glad they updated this thing. That said, this old version has been completely removed from the game and no player can access it. But me personally, I'm not even upset about that, bro. New Dragon all the way. But this next thing that got removed, I'm actually very upset about. And so were all you. Throughout the history of Blox fruits, there have been many glitches. Glitches people abuse, glitches people love. But there was one amongst all that everybody unanimously used. You know which one I'm talking about. The Buddha hitbox glitch. Everybody abused this glitch for farming, PvP, fighting bosses. All you had to do was activate and be in awakened Buddha form, unactivate it, and quickly switch to a weapon, which would result in your weapon being massive. You'd have the speed of a small person that's not Buddha while having the hitbox of a Buddha. This glitch was in the game for years and enjoyed by many, including myself, and the devs even were aware of it. But it wasn't until the Dragon update that they decided it needed to be gone. Because nowadays, whenever you try to do the glitch, it just simply does not work. You could shift and unshift and quickly switch, you never get the hitbox glitch back. Now, I completely understand why they had to remove this from the game, but I'm gonna be honest, why did they wait this long? They were aware of it for years and just decided not to until now. And yeah, I'm very upset about that. Let me know if y'all upset about that too. Me personally, I think they need to bring the Buddha hitbox glitch back. That was a better time for me. Now, while I was upset that they removed that glitch, next up is a glitch that I'm actually very happy that they decided to remove. In Blox fruits, there used to exist a glitch called the super jump glitch. This was something that will allow you to jump and fling yourself by using click to move. You'd basically be able to become Superman. Like, look at this guy. He's walking and then he just gets flung up in the air. Many people would abuse this in PvP, being able to escape and run away from scenarios, or being able to land combos that you otherwise wouldn't be able to land without it. And even more people abused it to pass the Draco V4 trials. And I'm actually one of them. That's how I passed my first Draco trial. I'm not gonna lie. Caught me red-handed, bro. But of course, the developers had to strap down and remove this glitch from the game completely. Nowadays, if you try to go to setting, switch movement mode to click the move, and try to do the glitch, it does absolutely nothing. Like, look at this, boys. It doesn't even work anymore. Like, this absolutely does nothing now, as it shouldn't have been from the start. So that's actually one I'm personally happy they removed. Now, this next one was one that was actually removed recently from the new Gravity update, and it is the bosses. In the recent Gravity update, the Blox fruits team has decided to completely remove 3 bosses. Well, I guess I shouldn't say completely remove, but replace. In the green zone in second C, there was a boss we all remember fighting. I mean, come on, we literally all remember fighting him. Fajita boss. But that is no longer who is there. Now we have some guy named Orbitus, who looks completely different than the Fajita boss and has different abilities. The old Fajita boss had the pre-reworked gravity fruit, but the new Orbitus boss, he has a whole new move set that Fajita did not have. Like, look at this, boys. Look at this. Fajita was not doing this. Well, I guess he was, but it didn't look that good. That said, I'm not gonna lie, I miss Fajita. Like, this guy's model is not it, bro. Bro looks goofy. But he's not the only boss that they removed, because if we head back to first C, they've also removed 2 bosses from here as well, specifically at the Pirate Village. This is the second boss you can fight in the game. We all recognize him as Bobby the Clown, but he's been completely removed. Now we got some guy named Chef, bro. Like, look at this man's, bro. This is not Bobby, bro. And I don't even know why they made him a chef. Where's their restaurant? Where's their restaurant here? There ain't none. And last but not least, if we go to Fountain, the old boss cyborg we knew and loved has also been removed by this old man, this old, like, literally old looking man. He is a cyborg, I'll give him that, but this is not my cyborg, bro. Now we know full well why these things were removed. They obviously did it to avoid copyright, because the bosses they were before were literal characters from One Piece. So I don't blame them, but that said, bruh, starting to make Blox feel a little different. Rest in peace, Fajita, Cyborg, and Bobby, man. Rest in peace. Now, this next change was 100% for the better. We all know guns have been so underwhelming of Blox for so long. I mean, even after the recent gun reworks, people still really don't use them. But what if I told you this used to be 10 times worse? Nowadays, we have cool guns like dual flintlock with the bullet storm, bro. Like, look at this. This is really fire. We even have nice ones like the magma blaster and flintlock. But a couple months ago, these did not exist. What we used to have was trash guns like this, refined musket. Like, just look at this, bro. Look at these abilities. Usability, I didn't even see what was happening. Like, what is this? And trust me, it only got more downhill from there. So, you know what? This is actually one of the happiest changes I've made of them removing pretty much all of the old guns and adding in these new ones. Because, yeah, they definitely needed it. Now, that has been everything that has been removed recently, but now we're going to start getting into things before the Dragon update. And later on in the video, we're going to be going over things that you probably didn't even know existed that have been removed. We all know about the Blox gacha. The first time you see him is at the jungle, and when you get to level 50, you can talk to this NPC here and get a fruit. But what if I told you that he didn't used to always look like this? Back in the earlier updates of Blox fruits, he instead used to be called the Blox fruits dealer cousin. Even though he's in the same location here, he used to look completely different, as you guys can see. A Blox fruits dealer cousin does the exact same thing as the Blox fruits gacha. It's just the name and outfit are different. But I think we can all agree that the OG Blox fruits dealer cousin definitely has the better fit compared to Zeolus. Now, if you thought that was cool, then you're going to want to stick around in the video, because later on, I expose one of the most insane things ever that got removed. But before we get into that, let's get into the second removed thing of the video, the worst fruit in the game. Now, players who recently joined the game during update 20 would recognize the worst fruit in the game as the rocket fruit. But OG players know that if the worst fruit in the game didn't used to be rocket, in fact, rocket didn't even used to be in the game at all. What used to be in the game was this fruit right here, the kilo fruit. And basically, as the name implies, it allows you to increase your weight by kilos. It had 4 different moves: 10,000 kilograms, 20,000 kilograms, 50,000 kilograms, and light. And as you can see here in this clip, every single move just basically launches you to the ground. Apart from the final move, which was lighten, and all that move does is just basically make you fly. And we can all agree that the kilo fruit was definitely trash. I mean, the rocket fruit just looks way better, has much better visuals, and just overall dookies on that fruit. But being a player that was able to experience kilo, I definitely do miss it somewhat. But I completely understand why they had to remove it, which is due to copyright, because it was too similar to how it looked in One Piece. Now, chances are, a lot of you probably knew about the kilo fruit being removed, but I can guarantee a lot of you don't know this next one. This is a Poneglyph from One Piece, and this is a Poneglyph in Blox fruits. Yes, you heard that right. Poneglyphs used to actually be in the game. Now, way back before I even started playing Blox fruits, there was actually 2 Poneglyphs in Second Sea in 2 different locations. First one being right here in the Snow Mountain, and the second one being on the unnamed island by Graveyard. Now, no player actually knows the origin of these Poneglyphs or what they actually even did in Blox fruits. In fact, the only footage I can even find on it is what you see right here from official newbie. Ultimately, though, the Poneglyphs had to get removed due to copyright reasons, as it's just way too close to what we see in One Piece. But let me know down in the comments below what you thought the devs would have did with the Poneglyphs if they didn't have to remove it. Now, if you didn't know that, you're definitely not going to know about this next one, the rare artifact. Now, the rare artifact was something that got removed in update 11, so it's been gone for years. But how you used to obtain it is you used to have to fight the raid boss Darkbeard, and once you kill him, he has a 100% chance of dropping a rare artifact. And once you've obtained the rare artifact, you can use it to obtain things like Dragon Breath, Kombucha, race changes, or even stat resets, which is honestly pretty cool, but there's a downside to that. To even get a Darkbeard to spawn, you need to get something called a Fist of Darkness. Let's say we finally get one to spawn Darkbeard and get the rare artifact, someone could just jump you right away and then you would lose it, because there was no way to store, which is ultimately why I believe it got removed and replaced for a better system system, which we know today as fragments. And for those of you boys who are going to make the argument that the rare artifact is technically not removed from the game since Kid Gaming has it says here on the wiki right here, this is not the same rare artifact Kid Gaming has. This one was removed a couple years ago. So yeah, it's been completely removed. Just like this next thing we're about to go over that I guarantee a lot of you don't know about. So we're all aware about Blox's current PvP enable system. You have to be level 20 to even PvP at all, and if you were to die to a player, you get a 15-minute immunity pass unless you want to enable your PvP right away. But what if I used to tell you it didn't used to be like this at all? Back when the game first released, Bloxers had no PvP immunity whatsoever. So level 1 players that would join the game would instantly get ganked by high-level players and get spawn killed, making them completely unable to progress. Which honestly sounds like a nightmare, so I'm 100% glad that the Bloxers devs removed that feature. But you know what I'm not happy about? The removal of the old menu system. So nowadays when you join in on Bloxers, you get to this loading screen, and then after that, you get to see the menu screen, which shows a pirate and a marine side. This looks pretty cool, right? But it looked even better before. This is how the menu looked back years ago. We can see for the most part it looks completely the same, except on the pirate side, it shows Buggy the Clown, which is a lot more accurate to One Piece, which unfortunately is why they removed it due to copyright. Which is not the biggest deal in the world, but I must say, I definitely do think the Buggy menu looked a lot cleaner. Speaking of clean, we all know about the ghost fruit this game, right? The visual effects on this thing just look absolutely fire. Like, look at this. These abilities are heat, but the ghost fruit didn't used to always be this clean, because this is what the fruit used to look like in the past. It used to be called the revived fruit, and it was based on Brook's fruit from One Piece. And as you can see here, yeah, the visual effects on this thing just look absolutely dookie. And not only did it get removed because it was super outdated, but it also got removed because, well, it was too similar to Brook's abilities in One Piece. But I think we can all agree that nobody used the revived fruit and much more people used the ghost fruit. So I'd say it was definitely a good decision. Although it's kind of confusing that Revive got removed for copyright, but the Sogotar didn't, as this looks almost exactly like how it looks when Brook uses it in the anime. And on top of that, we still have Brook's Rockstar hat as well in the game, so I don't know how these two things didn't get removed, but I'm glad they stayed. Now, so far that was the second fruit we've talked about that's gotten removed. But would you be surprised to know that there are multiple other fruits that also got removed that we're going to be going over on later in the video? Before we get into those, let's talk about a change that I was actually sad to see go. The removal of the Game Pass boats. So on Bloxers, there's a Game Pass that you could buy called Fast Boats, and it sells for 350 Robux. And it gives you the fastest boats in the game. Once you buy that Game Pass, you can talk to this NPC called the Luxury Boat Dealer, and it gives you access to 4 different boats: Miracle Boat, Sentinel Boat, Guardian Boat, and Lantern Boat. However, before we had the Miracle and Sentinel Boat, it used to be the Speed Boat and the Enforcer Boat. Now, the Enforcer Boat in Bloxers was actually based off of Portug's the Ace's boat in One Piece, and I think you can see why they got removed. I mean, this is literally a 1-to-1 carbon copy of Ace's boat in the anime. Despite that though, I'm still sad to see the Enforcer gone because I honestly thought it was way cooler than whatever this is here. But this next thing that got removed, I'm actually happy about. Now, we all know what the current fruit models in the game looks like. Whenever you pull out a fruit, you can see it actually looks pretty cool. Most fruits actually have moving animations to them as well. They're overall, like, honestly pretty creative. But this is what they used to look like. They used to be a lot more square and honestly just not really looking that good. But before that even, they also used to look like this. And this was the very first fruit models of how they looked when Bloxers first came out. And honestly, if you ask me, I'm totally glad that they removed this and the second revision and decided to land on the current fruit models, because this just looks way better. Let's just be real. And speaking of things I'm glad they removed, this next feature I'm doubly glad they did. Bloxers players now have the luxury of having an inventory to store their fruits, swords, and guns. But what if I told you there was a time where Bloxers players didn't even have that? Back in the old day of Bloxers, you couldn't store weapons and fruits in your inventory. What you had to use is what you see on the screen here, which are inventory chests. And there was actually 2 of them for 2 different things. The chest he's going into right here is known as a treasure inventory, where you had to store your fruits that you would trade into. Whenever you'd want to do a trade, you'd have to go in the chest to pull it out to do your trade. And the other chest you had to use to store your accessories, weapons, and guns. Now this sounds like a good feature in theory, but imagine every time you want to trade or, you know, switch PvP fruits, you would have to go back to the chest every single time. Yeah, I'm glad they made the decision to remove that. Unlike this next feature, which I'm actually kind of upset they removed. Now, long before I started playing Bloxers, there used to be this feature that existed called Free Cam, and you could activate Free Cam by pressing Shift, Control, and P at the same time. What that would do is allow your screen to completely unlock from your character, and as you can see in this clip here, you could completely fly around the entire map. This could help with cinematic scenes, thumbnails, you name it, whether you're a YouTuber or a player. Sadly though, it was completely removed from the game, and if you try doing it right now, it does completely nothing, and only admins have access for it. Devs, come here real quick. I need this feature back, devs. I need this feature back. Like, hear me? I need this feature back, bro. Everybody needs this feature. Moving on from that though, this next thing that got removed might actually surprise you. So we talked about the PvP system earlier being able to gank level 1 players. But what if I told you there was another feature that used to be in the game that also got removed? removed with PvP. On Blox Fruits, whenever you kill a player, you can get bounty from them up to 3 times every 3 days. What I mean by this is, let's say you beat someone 2 times, you get bounty twice for them, and the 3rd time you beat them, then any more times you guys 1v1, neither player will get bounty for the next 3 days. This didn't used to always be like this though, ladies and gentlemen. Back in the OG days of Blox Fruits, there used to be no limit to how much bounty you could take from a player. Meaning, if you got the chance, you could actually take all of someone's bounty. The devs obviously quickly removed this by adding the 3 out of 3 system, and also made it to where if someone only has 2.5 million bounty, they lose nothing. So all y'all noobs out there, you can't say the devs didn't do anything to help you. Speaking of helping out players, this next feature that got removed did exactly that. So we all know the human race's V3 is called Last Resort, and when you activate it, it allows you to do more damage the lower health you are, with a maximum of up to 52.5%. But did you know that in the old days of Blox Fruits, it actually did something else? Back in the old days, whenever you'd use Last Resort, it would actually take your own health on top of giving you more damage. However, the Blox Fruits devs removed this because it literally made humans so dookie to the point where nobody wanted to use it. Which definitely makes this a good feature that got removed, because I honestly would have never touched this race, ever. Now, we all know about the secret room under the cafe in 2nd C. If you go down in the basement of the cafe, we can see there's this room that says classified in, and you're not able to go inside of it, unless of course you decide to look in and flash step. And we can see this is the Toad room, otherwise known as the King Toad's room, as you can see by the sign right here. Now, if you look at the room in its current shape, you can see it's pretty much destroyed. Like, there's just stuff scattered around everywhere. There's like signs everywhere. There's just random stuff. However, the room didn't used to always be like this. A few years back, the room door used to be completely open, and as we can see, everything is fully organized. I mean, it was a nice looking room that you could get access to without having to glitch inside of it. So yeah, Blox Fruits removed the old version of the room and replaced it with this. I'm not too entirely sure why they decided to remove this, but you're gonna want to remember this King Toad's guy, because later on in the video, we have another thing that got removed that's tied in with him. But before we get into that, we're gonna talk about some more boats that got removed. So in the 2nd C, if you go outside a cafe and go up to the factory room, but instead of going inside it, go on top of it, there'll be an NPC behind it named Cyborg Frankie. And if you talk to him, he'll sell you the 1,000 Sunny ship in exchange for fragments. Or at least that's what he used to do, because they completely removed the 1,000 Sunny ship from the game. Now, it wasn't really that bad of a loss. I mean, this ship was really slow and it kind of had low health, so I didn't use it regardless. But I want my fragments back, devs. I want my fragments back. Either that or a replacement for the ship. And while we're still on the topic of ships, there was also another one alongside the Sunny that also got removed. The Swan boat. This was a boat you could obtain in the 2nd C by defeating the Don Swan boss, and it had a 100% drop chance. So the moment you defeat him, you get the boat. Unfortunately, just like the 1,000 Sunny, it also got removed from the game due to copyright reasons. Just goes to show you just how far the devs are willing to go to avoid getting taken down by One Piece. And while we're on the topic of copyright, there is yet another thing that they removed to avoid it. So nowadays in Blox Fruits, whenever you look at fruits, let's say for example the pain fruit, you can see under the pain fruit it's called a natural fruit. And there's also 2 other categories called elementals, and then there's also beasts. However, true One Piece fans know this is not what it's called in the anime whatsoever. In the anime, they are called paramecias, zones, or logias, and they used to be called this in Blox Fruits as well, but of course it got reverted to what we know today to avoid being taken down. This here is a chest, and this is a cursed chest in Blox Fruits, something that was around temporarily for the Halloween event in 2023. And what these evil chests actually did is whenever you would touch them, they would spawn an NPC, which after you kill it would give you rewards. And the rewards you could get from killing the NPCs were either 4 to 8 bones, which had a guaranteed chance, and sometimes they even had a rare chance of dropping 10 minutes of 2 times the XP. This, however, obviously has been removed since the Halloween event ended, but I have a sneak feeling that they will add it back this year, considering we are literally like 20 days away from Halloween. But that wasn't the only Halloween related thing that got removed. In the 3rd C, whenever you teleport to the haunted ship, there will be a building, and if you go inside of it, there's an NPC named the Death King. What he allows you to do is get rewards by spinning the bones you get by killing skeletons or other NPCs that drop it. This NPC right now can only be found in the 3rd C at this area. But did you know that back in the day, he used to also appear in a spot in 2nd C and the 1st C? And on top of that, they actually also removed something crazy from Death King. Back in the Halloween event in 2023, Death King had a small chance to be able to drop any random devil fruit. You also were able to do 20 spins within every 2-hour period, unlike the 10 that you're able to do now. I don't know why they decided to remove this feature. If you ask me, I think you should be able to permanently get fruits from Death King, because right now he's kind of useless. Now this next feature, only OGs will remember. So nowadays, whenever you PvP someone in Blox Fruits, there will be a PvP enabled text down below on your screen. What this means is players will be able to hit you no matter where you're at until you've been out of combat for over 30 seconds. However, this didn't used to be like that. Back a while ago, even while you were in combat, you could step inside the safe zone to completely disable the fight, which I am 100% glad Blox Fruits devs removed this, because imagine you're literally chasing someone for 10 minutes and then they just run into safe zone and fight's over. That would be dumb. You remember the revive fruit we talked about earlier? Well, there's actually another one that Blox Fruits removed. The infamous door fruit. We now know it as the portal fruit in Blox Fruits, but it used to be completely different back in the day, having 4 different moves called spinning door, dimensional door, door gateway, and hallway. Now gateway pretty much does the similar thing as what the portal C does right now. You can teleport to any island. It looks, a lot different now than it did back then though. And in terms of PvP and actual fighting, it doesn't really do good at that like how it does today. While it does still have attack attacking moves, they just do not compare to the new portal fruit whatsoever. Obviously, the door fruit got removed due to copyright reasons, as it's literally a one-to-one copy of the user Bluno from One Piece. Like, just look at this. This is a straight one-to-one copy. I honestly commend Blox fruits how well they did the door fruit. And despite the fact that I do miss door fruit, I think the portal fruit is way better. I mean, just look at these abilities. They look way cooler. Like, you can go in your own dimensions. You know what I'm saying? The abilities look cool, and you could do this. You could not do this in door fruit. However, I think I can speak for the whole Blox fruit community when I say that losing door fruit definitely pains us all. And speaking of pain, for all you players that started playing before update 20, you would know that this fruit right here named the pain fruit didn't used to always be called this. It used to be called the paw fruit. Now, unlike some of these other fruits, this actually got no rework. It didn't get changed at all. It literally looks exactly the same as it did before. The only thing is the name paw is removed from the game forever, and now it's been named pain. Which, to be honest, I think the pain name sounds a lot cooler than paw. Like, it just gives off a more aggressive look, whereas paw just gives off like a, I don't know, friendly type vibe. But that is yet another change that they had to do in order to save the game from copyright. Now, this next one, I know for a fact only OG players are going to know. Obviously, we know the game is called Blox fruit. This is the game we know and love and play every day. But did you know that it didn't used to always be called Blox fruit? Many years ago, the game actually used to be called Blox Peace, and this is what the logo looked like. Only players who got to play the game during release would really recognize this though, unless you heard it by another person, as the name Blox Peace quickly got changed to Blox Fruits to avoid copyright. Which, if you ask me, is a much better decision because Blox Fruits just sounds way better than Blox Peace. But I also don't really understand how the name Blox Peace could get them copyrighted when there's literally a game called a One Piece game. But hey, what do I know? Now, another change that only OG players would remember has to do with the control fruit. So we obviously know whenever you activate the room and control, you get to use abilities. And the ability we're specifically looking out for here is the Gamma Rush. Now we can see when we use it here, it attacks one person, and then it goes to an AoE attack and attacks everybody else in the room. You can see here when it ends, the room is still here. However, back in the day, whenever you would use Gamma Rush, you can see it makes the room significantly smaller, and what's more, after the Gamma Rush ended, it would completely make the room disappear. I have no clue why they decided to change and revert it, but I also support it because control is one of my favorite fruits in the game, and if I had to reactivate room anytime I use Gamma Rush, I'd actually be upset. Now, another thing that got removed in Blox fruits is the North Pole Island. Well, kind. Now, of course, if you go in third seat, it'll still be there, except interestingly enough, it's not an island that you can directly teleport to. In order to get it the fastest way, you need to teleport to Chocolate Land, and there it'll be right there, the North Pole. Now, while this island is still here in third seat, it used to be in second and first seat, but it got removed completely from there. And along with the North Pole, there was also two things that got removed as well. One of which was the Christmas gift event. Basically, how it would work is every hour you'd meet up in this circle in the middle of the island, a big present would fall on the ground, and when you'd open it, you'd get a fruit. This, however, got completely removed, and it is no longer in the game. But who knows, maybe we'll see return again this year. Now, aside from the gift box event, there was also another thing that disappeared, the Santa Claus NPC. There used to be an NPC named Santa Claus that would be right here during the event, and he actually sold 3 different things that you could buy: the elf hat, Santa hat, and coolest of all, the sleigh, a custom boat that is no longer obtainable. Obviously, when Santa Claus disappeared, all 3 of these items became unobtainable as well with him, meaning for any accounts that already have all these items, you have it unobtainable. But I hope for my sake, it comes back this year because I don't have any of those exclusive items, and I also don't have the sleigh, which I really want to get. Now, this next thing was something I was really sad to see go, but there was no other choice. About a year ago, there was an insane glitch that had to do with the spirit fruit that almost everyone was abusing. What I'm talking about, of course, is the spirit speed glitch, a glitch like everybody a year ago was abusing. Now, how this works is you need to have 2 permanent fruits, one of them being permanent spirit and another one. And what you do is you summon the little spirit homies specifically on the blue side to get the speed boost, and then once you've summoned all of them and got the speed boost, quickly switch over to a permanent fruit, which will make it so where the speed boost stays even though you're no longer on spirit. The crazy thing about it is it's stackable, so it allowed you to go to crazy speeds like this. And if you did it even more, anti-cheat would start kicking in, and you may even get kicked from the game. I loved abusing this glitch in my free time. I never actually used it in PvP. That'd be crazy, but sadly, I can't do it anymore. Moving on to the next thing, though, we're going to be talking about the love fruit. We obviously know how the fruit is now. It has abilities being able to summon arrows like this, big stun abilities like this, and even the ability to summon your own best old friend. Like, you can literally summon a guy to 2v1 enemies with. Look at this. And as fire as this is, this didn't used to even be in the game at all a year ago. The love fruit used to be completely different, having 4 different abilities. And as you guys can see right here, based off the effects, it doesn't look that good. Now, in terms of PvP, I actually think the old version may have been better because all of the moves have crazy stuns to it, but in my opinion, I much prefer the new version. And fun fact, the old version of Love is technically not completely removed from the game, as the boss Island Empress still uses the old version of Love, as you can see there. Now, another cool thing that got removed is the Valentine event shop. Here's what it looked like when the event was here on the castle on the sea. This is what the NPC looked like, and whenever you would talk to them, they'd have a shop full of different items like fruits, race rerolls, 2x EXP, and sometimes even fragments. If you look down below, how you would purchase them is there was a heart system. Basically, how it worked is any NPC you killed near your level will drop a certain amount of hearts, and the more you grinded, the more you could use towards buying fruits from the shop. Shop would also reset every once in a while and recycle new things and fruits in there, so new players would be able to grind and get good fruits. But sadly, that event got removed, and I'm not sure when it'll come back, as we didn't get it this year. Well, we also didn't get a single update in 2024 at all, but I highly doubt that it'll come back in 2025. And now for the last fruit that was removed in Blox fruits. Any player that started playing after 2022 would recognize this as the spider fruit, and they'd know nothing else about it. But it didn't used to actually be called the spider fruit. It used to be called the string fruit. And similar to the paw fruit, none of the abilities actually changed. I mean, as far as awakening goes, all of the abilities remain the same. And I think the V1 slightly changed. Other than that, this was an insignificant change just to avoid copyright. 5 more things that got removed, ladies and gentlemen, and I guarantee these last 5, a lot of you never knew existed. For example, in the cafe, if you go over to the right on this table here, there's an NPC named Torp. And if you talk to him, he'll allow you to reset your race in exchange for 3,000 fragments. But Torp used to be someone completely different. He used to be called Norp, and his avatar was drastically different than it is right now. Like, this is how he looks before, and this is how Torp looks. Honestly, if you ask me, Torp is lacking the drip. Norp on top. Don't really know why Norp got removed. I honestly couldn't tell you, but yeah, he's gone forever. Just like this next thing that's gone forever, or I hope not. Now, this is a bit of a goofy one, but I don't know if any of y'all have realized, but all of the sea captains or sea NPCs have lost their pants. Like, I don't know what's going on, but like, look at this. This is the first sea captain that takes you to second sea. If we go over to dock 3, we can see this guy, Mr. Captain, has his pants. Yes, but once we go into third sea, we can see the experienced captain is also missing his pants. I don't know what happened. It was a glitch that removed their pants, but it's been like this for almost a year now, and they haven't gotten them back. This next thing that got removed, I think less than 5% of y'all knew about. So normally in Blox fruits, when you complete a fruit grade, you get teleported to this room, and if you talk to this mysterious entity, he awakens your abilities. But what if I told you this used to be Wenlocktoad over heaven? Yes, this used to be the old NPC that would awaken your abilities. And if you guys remember what I said earlier about the green toad room, this is the guy that used to live there. And as for why he got removed, apparently he did something he wasn't supposed to and got removed from the admin team. So yeah, that's literally an admin that got removed from Blox fruits. Now this next thing isn't something super crazy, but it's also pretty cool. The DS code. Now many of you players may not even know what this is. In fact, I didn't even know what this is like 10 minutes ago, but this is called the Diamond Syndicate code. A code that was given out as an award for a 2019 tournament hosted by this guy named E as a reward. This code is currently completely unobtainable, and I believe only admin and certain special accounts have it. But despite that this is an unobtainable item, I also don't think it's really worth it, because if we look at the stats, it's pretty bad. 5% damage, 200 energy, and 200 health. That is like a horrible accessory. Nevertheless though, it got removed. And now the final thing that's gotten removed from Blox fruits forever, and this one is insane. There used to be a glitch in Blox fruits that would teleport you to a world called the Pillar World. And this was a world that used to be only obtainable by admins. However, back in the early updates of the game, you could see some players found a way to glitch in there. What's interesting about this place is once you're in there, there would be no way to get out. Even if you were to reset or leave the game and join that same server, you would still be in the Pillar World. The only way to escape it would be to join a completely different server. This glitch is honestly insane because like, they're literally in an admin only area that they found a way to glitch into it. Sadly, this was completely removed from the game, and this isn't even accessible anymore. I don't even think by admins. Now, if you thought that one was interesting, this next one may surprise you. Many Blox fruits players today are accustomed to a currency called fragment. We use it to awaken our fruits, buy fighting styles, and even buy some weapons. But did you know that there used to be a time where fragments didn't exist? Before fragments used to exist something called a rare artifact. And to get a rare artifact, you had to defeat the Darkbeard boss and he had a chance of dropping it. Rare artifacts were pretty much exactly what fragments do today. Back then, you could use it to buy a flower ship, dragon breath, kombucha, stat resets, or even a race chain. However, OG players know the frustration of what happens when you die with a rare artifact, because if you died with it, it would disappear from the player's inventory. Luckily, however, rare artifacts were removed in update 11, and all of the players of today probably never even knew it existed. Now, those were real OG, but did you know that Blox fruits used to be sphere models? Obviously, we are all used to and accustomed to the new Blox fruits models, which are these kiddish fruit models that have faces on them, but before that, they used to look different, looking a little more square and slightly more accurate to the anime. Now, obviously, we're all aware of this as this change only happened recently, but before the Blox fruits were squares, they were even different. This is what all of the old fruits used to look like back 4 years ago. As you can see, they're more spheric and actually pretty accurate to the anime. And even though majority of new players will never know this is how the devil fruits used to look, it's still a cool piece of Blox fruits history that'll never come back. Just like this next glitch that's gotten patched forever. A few months back, a YouTuber by the name of Rip Guy found a speed glitch using the spirit fruit. And this glitch would allow you to go so fast that the game's anti-cheat would kick in. Now, this quickly became a viral glitch, as many big YouTubers did videos on it. And since this gave players an unfair unfair advantage in PvP, the devs said, nah, we needed to patch that. If you try to do the glitch now, absolutely nothing happens. So it's been removed from the game, and I highly doubt it'll ever come back. Now that was recent, so you likely knew that. But did you know that Blox fruits didn't used to be called Blox fruits? Yeah, about 4 years ago, Blox fruits used to be called Blox Peace instead. This didn't stick long, however, as the game had to change its name due to copyright issues with the original One Piece manga and anime series, which I don't entirely understand because there's literally a Roblox game named a One Piece game. But even though the Blox Peace name had to be removed, I think we can all agree that Blox fruits just has a much better ring to it. That was an interesting one, but this next one's definitely gonna bring back some memories for the OG. So back when Kilo used to be in the game, it used to have this feature where the higher you were in the air, the more damage you would deal by using one of your abilities. However, for whatever reason, while Kilo was in the game, this feature got removed. And during the process of researching for this video, I couldn't find any footage of the previous increased damage in use. However, if you look at the Blox fruits wiki, it says previously this fruit inflicted increased damage when used from a high altitude and descending. However, it no longer received damage buff from this particular maneuver. Now we all love the portal fruit and Blox fruits. It's one of the best PvP fruits in the game. It's got high mobility, good combo potential. But did you know that the portal fruit didn't used to exist? It used to be called the door fruit, which had an entirely different fruit model, as well as a different moveset. While the door fruit does do similar things for the most part, having a dashing attack, being able to disappear, and also having the ability to teleport to other islands, ultimately the door fruit needed to be removed due to copyright reasons, as the game was at risk of being taken down since it was too close to the anime. But I think we can all agree that it was for the better that door got removed, because portal is just 10 times better. But I wish I could say the same about this next feature. If you go to Haunted Castle and go to this area I'm going to right now, you can see there's this NPC named the Death King. And if you speak with him, you can exchange bones for 10 random surprises, but you can only do 10 for every 2 hours. And here's the list of random items you can receive from spinning with him. This didn't always used to be like this though. When Death King was first added in update 16, you were able to receive a random fruit for him. You were also able to do 20 spins every 2 hours instead of 10. Now I don't know why they decided to remove that feature, but I think we can all agree that Death King was much better when you could get fruits. Now chances are you didn't agree with that feature being removed, but I know you'll agree with this one. Back when race V4s were first introduced, in order to obtain them, you needed to find a Mirage Island. But in order to get Mirage Island to spawn, you needed to find a full moon. This made a lot of players upset, as Mirage Island already had a small chance of spawning. This is where the devs came in. They made a patch stating that Mirage Island no longer required a full moon and only needed nighttime, coming to the aid of so many suffering noobs. And we'll probably never see that feature reverted, just like we'll never see number 10 again. The old Blox fruit starter menu, or should I say Blox Peace. Now you may not notice some differences right out the bat. As you can see, it's pirates and marine just like it is now. But if I go to this new one comparing how it looks, you guys can start to notice the differences. Here we have a random pirate and a random marine. However, in the old one on the pirate side, we could see a recognizable pirate, Buggy from One Piece. Now I'm sure you can guess the reason why this got changed. I mean, obviously the marine side didn't get changed, and it has to do with copyright. Yeah, Blox fruits cannot escape copyright issues. But another thing I don't think is going to return is the OG soul fruit. Now we obviously recognize this as the new spirit fruit. We've accustomed to the new moveset, the left devil and the right devil. However, this change only recently happened about a year ago, as this fruit's original form, the soul fruit, got removed from the game. The soul fruit used to be quite a bit different, being able to spawn different homies, having the two spirits next to you look more accurate to the anime, and even slightly different looking moves. But just like most other changes in Blox fruits, the soul fruit sadly had to be removed in copyright. But you know what we were not upset to have removed? Number 12, the old running animation. For update 17.3, Blox fruits animations look really outdated, and as you can see, this running animation looks pretty goofy, as well as dashing and jumping animation. Overall, it just looked very stiff and it needed a change, which is why I got updated to today's new animation. You guys can see right here, which looks very smooth, as well as the walking animation we got with it. Also, let's just be honest, it looks way cleaner to hold swords now than it did before. But for number 13, it definitely was not clean. A while back, there used to be a portal invisibility glitch. Basically, what you would do is you would use Portal X and stand still, and to the POV of the person standing next to you, you'd be completely invisible and they wouldn't be able to hit you at all. This got patched, however, if you try to do it nowadays, it just does completely nothing. As you can see, it doesn't work. Now, obviously, for balancing issues, a glitch like this had to be removed from the game. I mean, it was too overpowered, but that doesn't mean we're any less sad to see it removed. But this next one, I think we're all happy about. So we all know about the newly released Ghost fruit, but did you know that it used to be the Revive fruit? Revive was an uncommon fruit that could resurrect you if you die, based on the character Brook from One Piece. However, Revive in Blox fruits wasn't that good, as it only had 2 attacking moves. So apart from copyright, the fruit actually needed some touching up, which is why we got the new Ghost fruit reworked, which feels completely different than Revive, but in this case, that's a good thing. But another interesting change is the removal of the old gacha. Many Blox fruits players, including myself, have gotten used to the new Blox fruits gacha, otherwise known as Zeolus. But did you know he used to look like this in instead, and his name used to be Bloxfruit's dealer cousin. Now there's no difference between these two. If I talk to this guy, he'll give me a gacha just the same as the other dude would. Oh, by the way, I pulled a quake. So they do the exact same thing, so I can't quite understand why they decided to change the Bloxfruit's gacha when they didn't change the Bloxfruit's dealer, but I can say OG Bloxfruit's dealer cousin will always remain in our heart. But for this next thing that got removed, it definitely won't. For number 16, we're taking a look at the old Darkblade that got removed. For those of you players who played a few months back, you would know this is what the Darkblade used to look like, which is pretty identical to the Yoru blade that Mihawk uses in One Piece. This is now how the new Darkblade looks after the rework, but it wasn't just cosmetics that got changed. If we look at the moves between the old Darkblade and the new Darkblade, we can see that animations have definitely got a bit better. And while some OGs might say they missed the old Darkblade, I can confidently say I prefer this new. For number 17, it's more of an addition than something being removed, but it's definitely a nice feature. Nowadays, Bloxfruit players enjoy this feature of being able to go to the shop, go to more fruits, and having access to all of your permanent fruits here. But did you know this didn't used to always be a thing? A while back, if you wanted to switch to a different permanent fruit, you would have to manually walk up to the Bloxfruit dealer, talk to him, scroll through whatever fruit you wanted to equip, and equip it manually that way. Now that update made a lot of players' lives easier, but so did this next one. This is the Love Fruit, a very strong fruit that allows you to summon your friends, gang up on players or NPCs, and fly around with ease. However, just a year ago, the Love Fruit had a completely different moveset, which is more based around the One Piece anime character Boa Hancock. And while technically the old Love isn't completely removed from the game, considering the Island Empress boss still uses that old version, players of Bloxfruit cannot use the old version themselves. And aside from the reworks we've already talked about, for number 19, we have two more changes. This is the Pain Fruit. And while there have been no actual changes to the moves, the name did get changed recently. This fruit was formerly known as the Paw Fruit and recently got changed to the name Pain in Update 20, which also got a fruit remodel. As you guys can see, this is the old model. This is how the new model looks. The same can also be said for the Spider Fruit. The Spider Fruit used to be named the String Fruit and was changed to Spider in Update 19 of last year. Unlike Paw, however, Spider did receive some changes to its unawakened moveset. So those two changes were not that big, but the names String and Paw will forever be removed from Blox. Another thing that won't come back is one of my favorite Leopard glitches. So a while back, there used to exist this glitch where if you used all your Geppos with Leopard and then held the move, specifically Spiral X, for a while, it would grant you infinite sky jump. This is one of my favorite glitches to mess around with. However, it got patched. If you try using it nowadays, you go use all your Geppos and then hold Spiral Kick for a very long time. You guys can see I don't get my Geppos back. So sadly, one of my favorite glitches have been removed. I don't know why. It didn't really serve any purpose, but it's gone forever. And now for the finale. Number 21, the Kilo Fruit. It got added over 870 days ago, but it's never coming back, or at least not how we remember it. Kilo Fruit was the worst fruit in Bloxfruit's hands down, being garbage at basically everything. Recently, we've seen it be removed and replaced by the new Rocket Fruit, which is better in every single way than Kilo was, but now the fruit that created a lot of memories, fun times, and memes is gone from Bloxfruit forever. Thank y'all boys for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed this video of me digging through Bloxfruit's past and the things that have gotten removed. Let me know what y'all want to see next, but with that, I'll see y'all later.